IVM.
TFG Football is an IVM production, and you can also check out their other awesome shows like Made in India, hosted by May Thomas, where she brings exclusive acoustic sessions and interviews with the best independent musicians in India.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Well, if whatever is happening in Indian football was a movie at the moment, and the scene where Delhi High Court comes and says would be awarded the best climax ever. I mean, a twist in the story. Just when India was in the grasp of glory, saying we just hosted a FIFA event, and when even the FIFA has given us a stamp that India is right now a footballing nation, and we are all in the way to bid for the Under-20 World Cup, the Club World Cup, and all of that bigger major tournaments of FIFA, and we were like, how good this is going to be, is when Delhi High Court decides, hey, stop. We are now going to dismiss the post of AIFF President because you've not followed the National Sports Code. This all comes behind a PIL filed by Rahul Mehra, a sports activist and also a criminal lawyer. Now, interesting take, all scenes out here breaking out after an extravagant event that India was hosted. You're listening to the TFG Indian Football Podcast, and today, you know what I'm going to talk about. This will be the show dedicated to Praful Patel.
Hey, Praful.
I have Kevin and Chiranjit here. Kevin, we start with you. Now,
the timing is so good. You know, we were just talking about this, that if everything is done properly, the World Cup was hosted well. There were a lot of praises given to the way the World Cup was handled. Everything went smoothly, and then all of a sudden, when we plan to take this momentum forward, and there's this news that breaks out and just dismisses the authority of the president of the AIFF, and this comes as a shattering news for everybody because he's holding a term, and this is the third term that he's a part of in the AIFF, and after all the elections that went on, this was this was happening in the past as well, when the same sports activist had filed a petition against the AIFF elections, and at that moment, it was, I think towards the end of last year, around December time, this was brought up in the High Court, but it was stayed as the election was already underway. So the timing was made in such a way that it shouldn't have hampered any progress that we had made in the tournament, and rightly so. But the facts have already shown up now. How it wasn't a legitimate election because.
So before you go ahead with your thoughts on this, I'll just throw up the points to our listeners. Well, the court said what it said was the AIFF's 2016 election process didn't follow the National Sports Code, and it was also directed elections to be held within 5 months. Well, when the election took place last year in December, Praful Patel was re-elected unanimously and all of that. But this was supposed to be done with a lot of that. I think that's the sports code that's talking about. You have to follow certain codes to get somebody nominated, and then that needs to be proposed by other person, and then that's to be backed by somebody else, and then it finally goes. But this was like direct entry, and he's taken up the third post, just like Kevin mentioned. Now we come back to Kevin's thoughts. What do you make up of all of this thing, and what, according to you, you're following Indian football and all of this happening, and a guy coming up and questioning the authority, not once, but it's the second time he's doing it, and finally Delhi High Court has proposed a judgment.
And also, this is not the first time that he's come up against federation, and AIFF is not the only federation that he's filed petitions and PIL against. In December 2016, he also took the names of the Indian Olympic Associations and the Archery Associations. So these federations were also targeted, and his point is clear that if there is a code in place to have conduct the elections in certain way, that has to be followed. It cannot be going anything apart from what is already mentioned.
Right.
So all in all, it's we couldn't call this as a great moment that things are being cleaned.
But do you think this is good?
It is
whatever?
good because it's fair.
Okay.
Firstly, it's not following the general code of elections to be taking place, and this is throwing light and bringing back what is rightly so.
Okay, Chiranjit, your take on all of this whole saga, and what are you making out of this?
Yeah, well, there are so many things that you could pin Praful Patel for. So many things that I personally don't agree with. Yet when something like this happens and it comes out of the blue, and
Yeah, it must have
I
been.
can't be happy
It must.
for.
It
I
must have
can't be
been.
happy about anything.
Yeah, it must
It's
have
like,
been a shock for you, right? Just after a few days, you complimented him and his team for having a great
Yeah.
tournament, and then them bidding for the future tournament. You'll be like, damn it, wrong timing.
Yeah, it's a compliment is curse, and it's India was looking up, in the world stage. We were doing well with the organization of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. It seemed like we were moving towards hosting Under-20 Club World Cup and all of that. It's still on track, there's no, nothing that says that it's completely undone. But what this does is that this puts a roadblock into everything that the AIFF is doing right now, because this is not just about the president. The same election saw 5 vice presidents, 10 executive committee members. All of them were elected in that same election cycle,
Yeah.
which happened in the December of 2016. So if the president's legitimacy is under question, then how can the people, how can basically his people, his board, his committee, his vice presidents, how can they also function if the president is not, is under question? So what happened was that the National Sports Code says that if you are a national sports federation, it may be BCCI, it may be AIFF, it may be Hockey India or some other, the Indian Boxing Council or anything. The president of the national federation gets chosen by the chiefs of the state associations, who each get one vote.
Okay.
And to be a nominee for the national president, to fight on that election, to stand in that election, you need one state association to propose your name, and another to second it. That's what the National Sports Code says. The AIFF's rule has been altered during the time of Praful Patel. I think that was done in 2012. That says you have to have 5 state associations proposing your name.
Yeah.
So instead of 1 plus 1, you need 5. And that's what this does is that a lot of people who want to stand for the president post and want to participate in the election process, they don't manage to get 5 state associations to propose them. Okay, and this is not the cleanest of politics that happens in these. Lots of from what you hear is that state associations try to cut a deal with whoever is going to be the president, and they are not very anti-incumbent, because if you back the president who is more likely to win or the candidate, you are going to get more from the national federation for your state association. So all these political things happen, and the last election that happened in 2016. That was at the height of the conflict between the Goan Football Association, all the Goan I-League clubs walking out directly in the heels of FC Goa scandal and everything. So Srinivas Dempo was the vice president. He did not stand for re-election, and a lot of people from Goa also wanted to, for the Goa Football Association wanted to challenge Praful Patel, but could not, because of whatever the rules were in place.
Right.
So, of course, this created the power struggle, and Rahul Mehra was pursuing this case, I think, since 2012. And what happened, this is where it gets a bit sketchy, is that there was a stay order initially from Delhi High Court that said, hey, postpone this election because there's some problem with the process.
Right.
Okay, that came in early December 2016. But on 15th or 16th December, I don't remember the exact date. I'm literally sitting in a railway platform to do this work. These things happen at the worst of times. Just when I can't sit my ass down quietly, these big things unfold. So 15th or 16th December 2016, the High Court lifts that stay order and allows the election to go ahead. So whatever AIFF told them, whatever they showed the High Court about the process of that election, the court was apparently okay with it. They greenlit the election, and then what happened? All the executive committee members, the president, the 5 vice presidents, everybody got elected without a single person opposing them.
Right.
This was a completely one-sided election. And so whenever you have a completely one-sided election, that sort of gives you an idea that okay, this is there is not a proper balance of power here. Somebody has been given too much power already. But if the High Court said at that time that okay, let's go ahead and do the election, AIFF must have made some good points. Then again, that happened in December last year, but Rahul Mehra, he kept pursuing the matter, and finally he has gotten this verdict out of Delhi High Court saying, no, that was not good. The process was not properly followed. So let's put a stay on that election. So it's coming from the same High Court. If the process was not right, why did you allow the election to proceed last year?
Right.
And if you did allow it to proceed, and by the way, AIFF has put out a statement saying we pretty much opened up the entire election for inspection by representatives of the High Court. Okay, somebody was appointed by the High Court and he came and took a look at everything and said like, okay, this can go on. So how can, if that person was convinced last year that the election was okay, how come the same High Court says that there was something wrong with the election 1 year later? So which is which? Now, of course, we know that that technical difference is already there. The National Sports Code says one proposal and 1 second. And the AIFF rule book says 5 proposals. That discrepancy is already there. So technically, the High Court is right. If that's what has happened, then why let the election go on last year? See, it's so sketchy, the whole thing that you just wonder why this situation is getting so muddy. Now, what will FIFA say? They will say like if why did the High Court allow it to happen last year, and why are they doing tongue around now? So they will see it as interference from the government. They might do that. If they read the entire situation that way, you can't blame them. And obviously when Praful Patel has now a lot of cred in FIFA, because he is the AFC vice chairman, and he has successfully hosted the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, which FIFA really needed if they need to expand the market for football. So they will want to protect Praful Patel. So now Praful Patel has been undermined, and there is a apparent double speak. Not I won't say double speak. A conflict between 2 decisions and 2 steps taken by the same High Court. So what if FIFA reacts to this in a hostile way? Then are we opening up the door to a suspension? What if this situation does not get resolved immediately? Then we are in trouble, Indonesia or Pakistan. So yeah, it's problematic.
Yeah, we'll come back to the implications in the second half. And just to mention, the appointed officer during that time, the judge during the election was Justice Bipin Chandra Kandapal. So just to mention his name, we mentioned as someone who said, so I thought we'll just give out the name. In the second half, we will talk about the implications of this and how some other countries were prey to all of this, and they were suspended by FIFA. So do we also head on with that? And it's fair point by Chiranjeev that he made, saying that what happened in 1 year, that that happened right now, that it could not happen in the last time if the process was wrong even then. So a lot of things to be looked at, but we slip into a short break, and the second half, as I said, we'll come back and talk to you about what implications what does this mean for Indian football.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the seen effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit seenunseen.in for all the latest updates.
Welcome back, and we are very well talking about the Praful Patel, the AIFF, the Delhi High Court, the Rahul Mehra, the Indian football, a lot of issues, the FIFA, everything that combines now. As we said, Indian football has always been, has got used to the off-the-field action a lot during the past few years, and it continues now. It's taken another hit. Right now we just sum up about what happened and what went through about all of this case and what Delhi High Court decision means. Right now we'll talk about how this all affects Indian football. Kevin, what do you make of this? Because right now, just like Chiranjeev mentioned the first half, and we all agree to this, the whole of the world had their eyes on Indian football. We kind of had a good thing, and the national team the senior national team is qualified for the AFC Asian Cup 2019. Things are looking good. We're having a long season of ISL. Well, I-League is happening at the same time, but we are headed into probably a right direction. But then this happens.
Everything how it has been functioning will not be disrupted immediately. As for ISL, the schedule is already out, and I think that will go on as planned. For I-League, it's always the issue. I-League has always been bearing the brunt of all the mismanagement of AIFF, because it's always got the ill treatment of the two parties. We ourselves don't know, neither do the clubs know when the I-League is going to start, but the entire schedule of ISL is out. So on that part, coming to the running of the federation, obviously there is a caretaker who's already been appointed by the court to oversee the proceedings of the federation, and obviously the main target of that is having an election within 5 months. So that will be the first priority of the caretaker administrator who is appointed by the court. On other part, I think other members who are there or part of the committee, I think they will function as they have been in the past, so that does not see any disruption. But for Indian football, I think the sports activist here, Rahul Mehra, is dealing with somebody very powerful, and he is not somebody who's new into this business, I should say. So it's difficult to fight an entity, where they have their roots spread out. So Praful Patel is not just the president of AIFF. We know he's got an important position in the AFC, that is the confederation, and also in the FIFA. He was part of the finance committee over there as well. So considering all this, there should be some amount of backing given by AFC, by FIFA as well. And this order is not a final statement because it can be challenged by AIFF, and rightfully so. They did put out a statement yesterday, a long one, saying they do not know what the exact order is by the High Court, but certainly they will take steps to attend to that, and this is a challenge put against AIFF, and they will not be quiet. I think AIFF together we will fight this, and it will see some challenges put back to the PIL.
Now, before Chiranjit comes into this, I just want to quote what Kevin was mentioning. The statement, the final statement was, AIFF is not aware of the reasons of the Honorable Delhi High Court to pass this order. Once AIFF receives the copy of the order from the Honorable High Court, we will decide the course of action in accordance with the law. Chiranjit, do we see if things go against AIFF? Fair points from Kevin, right? But do we, if we see things are going against the federation, what happens? Because Pakistan was a recent country that was banned for the same kind of for similar kind of action. But do we see India heading in that way, a FIFA ban?
See, the first thing that Mr. Qureshi, who has been, or Dr. Qureshi, I should say, who has been appointed as the AIFF's administrator by the High Court, the first thing he needs to understand is that do anything you can to make sure that the I-League starts on time and happens smoothly. This is of utmost importance. It's probably more important than doing an election 5 months later. You have 5 months to prepare to hold an election. You don't have 5 months to prepare to hold the league. It has to be done now. There's already so much complications going on because ISL, of course, gets the better television slots. So the clubs and the broadcasters and the AIFF are all talking to get the times and dates of the matches finalized, and that's why we still don't have a fixture. And we still don't have a fixture. The league hasn't even started. It's supposed to start this month. Like, this is 1st November. This month the league is supposed to start in a couple of weeks, and we still don't have a fixture. And at this time, suddenly the AIFF president is out of action. This is crazy. I hope Mr. Qureshi understands that federations get suspended when they cannot hold their leagues. That's the fastest way to suspension. You don't hold your league, FIFA kicks you out. Period. Because it sees you as a failed federation. Just when we are doing so well, do not let that get disrupted. Let that not be a strike against us. Whatever has happened, whatever process was not followed, you will, the election will probably happen in March or April or whatever it is, 5 months from now. I have very little doubt that Praful Patel will come back as president, and everybody he wanted to elect along with him will also, get their position back, because right now Praful Patel is riding the wave of popularity. Okay, he pulled off a winner with the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, and if we go ahead and get the Under-20 World Cup, that will also add to his credit. And we have a good chance to do that. Nobody will want Praful Patel to go away right now because he's got that clout, and him being undermined at this point, unfortunately, means the entire process of progress for Indian football may get undermined along with it, because Mr. Qureshi is not going to get us the Club World Cup or the Under-20 World Cup. Okay, Mr. Qureshi is not going to negotiate the merger of ISL and I-League, which also needs to happen now with AFC. He's also not going to fix us a friendly match, which we need in March before we play Kyrgyzstan, because we want to get into the pot 2 for Asian Cup. All that stuff needs to be worked on now. There's a Champions Cup happening in August 2018, or at least that would we hope. So AIFF needs to talk to all 3-4 different countries right now to ensure that they come and participate. All that has to happen now. If Mr. Qureshi comes and says I'm just going to do the election, we're screwed. Okay, so that has to carry on. The I-League has to get the priority, and if that happens, first, if the league starts without a problem, and Dr. Qureshi establishes a good relationship with the league's organizing committee, the AIFF General Secretary, the clubs, the state associations, then we have a chance of getting out of this pretty much unscathed. Okay, but it has to happen now. The work on the league first, then affirm the authority of whoever talks to different countries about organizing matches. Then we establish the contact with AFC. All the communication channels have to be reopened. through the new AIFF administrator. All that has to happen. Take a month to do that, then start working on the election, because you have 5 months to do the election. Okay, so yeah, I hope that's what he does, and I hope he understands. I hope he does not come in thinking, oh yeah, ISL is the league. I hope he's not somebody who has not heard of I-League. But I'm being paranoid. I'm pretty sure he's well aware of what he has to do here and what is at stake, and hopefully he does that. But it just feels like a lot of tension that we did not need at this point, because if the majority of chances are, the odds are that Praful Patel will come back as AIFF president, no matter whatever rule you apply to hold your election. Then what was all this for then? बीच में इतना झमेला करके किसका फायदा हुआ? Right. Yeah. So yeah.
But then again, we'll have to.
So technically, let me put it that way. Technically, the High Court was probably right. Technically, Mr. Rahul Mehra was also probably very justified in bringing this PIL, and technically, this was the right step by law to take. But what is the end result?
Yeah, so I think we'll have to.
What is the end?
We'll have to wait and watch about the end result that happens. And like you pointed out, I mean, things need to happen right now for whatever is scheduled to happen. So we need to see the timeline, and Mr. Qureshi has to be on hands-on job, because he's got a lot of things on hand until we hear the final verdict of all of this. Before we sum up, Kevin, final thoughts summarizing the whole episode, the whole saga. The Indian football has always been hit, but a new chapter in the book.
No, all we hope is things, there's a lot of things to be streamlined in Indian football, and we were hoping that the World Cup brings so much, praise and a great appreciation of the world to hosting such a huge event in footballing world. So that did not look like this again, what Chiranjit said, this is not the right time that we needed all this. We were on the brink of starting in a way sort of a revolution that brings everybody together, brings everybody closer together, and I hope the things do fall in place, even though this wrong timing mess has happened. But the I-Leagues, as we are all expecting, I hope it starts, and the fixtures are out, and both the leagues run smoothly along with the national team and the national level leagues, like the underage leagues. They go on as scheduled and planned.
Yeah, well, if this is a good or a bad revolution, we'll have to wait and see, and who it favors, we'll all have to wait and see and hope that things get better. And if this is for a cleansing period, then so be it. But whatever the circumstances happen, at the end, Indian football is what it takes the hit. It's always at the receiving end for all the good and the bad reasons, and at the same time, once again, it's that hopefully we get to see some action happening, and we get some quick result out of this, and there is no delaying about this, because then if this gets delayed, then there is no attention on something like a league to be held or whatever matches to be held, even that gets hit. So that's all, folks, for today. If you want to read in detail, you can get onto our website, thefangarage.com. We have it all over there. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section on our YouTube channel, and like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our episodes. You can also talk to us directly on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. Chiranjit Oja, Boza _Kevin, Suji Matthew 94. Have a great day, folks. Amidst all of this stupidity that's happening in Indian football, try and have a good day, and wishing you all a good November. It's a new month, but we're starting with some sad news if you're an Indian football fan, but hopefully things get better in the coming days. Have a great day. Cheers.
That was Tantrik Steve from Hansraj College, Delhi, performing at IIT Bombay's Mood Indigo. Just like them, there's a lot of new talent and art coming out of colleges all across India, but unfortunately most of this goes completely unnoticed or ignored. To fix this, we started atkt.in. Hi, I'm Ankur, I'm a musician and a rapper, and I found that one of the best things about being an artist myself is finding new talent. Through ATKT.in, Tanya, my colleague who's a dancer, and our whole team really is putting all of our efforts into discovering and promoting all the coolest talent that's coming out of colleges all across India. And this goes up on our website, our social media, TV, radio, and now, of course, this podcast with IVM. Make sure you go to our website, support the talent with your likes, your shares, your comments. All of that really matters. Go ahead, check it out. ATKT.in.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.